Welcome to Let's Talk Wellness, where we will be sharing insights into the world of mental health and wellness as we explore traditional medicine and holistic healing options. It's time to have new conversations about mental health. Join Mara James, the founder and CEO of the Hugs for Life Healing Center, as she guides us along this journey. And now, let's talk wellness.
Welcome to Let's Talk Wellness. I am your host, Mara James, and I'm excited to introduce you today to a renowned energy sound healer and thought leader, Mark Romeo.
Glad to be here. So happy. Thank you for having me.
Oh, so excited. We met several years ago, and I didn't even know about all of your gifts. And I just knew one day that our paths would cross again, and here we are. So let's start with sharing with our friends something you said to me, and it's my favorite line, recovered CEO.
Yes, because I think all of us, we get kind of presented with this model. You go to school, you get out of school, you go get a day job, you work your way up the ladder. The higher up the ladder you go, of course, the happier and the more money you're going to make and all that good stuff. And I bought into that. And so I went from entry level all the way to CEO of a multi-million dollar business over the course of 19 years in the high-tech arena. And so, yeah, I had done all those different things, and I'm kind of going, okay, why am I like so stressed out? Why am I unhappy, discontent, and unfulfilled? And I knew that there was something more. So when I say recovered, it took me a little bit to recover from that whole journey of just working so hard, pushing and forcing and moving things. And so I literally had to take a leap to kind of save my life and kind of create something with a little bit more meaning and purpose and something in alignment, I think, with the heart space and my soul purpose.
That's beautiful. So was there something in particular that happened? It was like the straw that broke the camel's back, or was it just a progressive realization that you had?
Well, there was a progressive aspect. There was the conversation, you know, what else could I go do? Why am I feeling this level of discontent? But for me, it kind of all hit the head one night. I come home and my lovely wife's in the hallway right there by the garage door. And she just said, you know what? I don't give a damn how much money you're making. I look in your eyes and you're dead. When are you going to have the courage to go for the dream? When are you going to have the courage to go for something else? And like any good husband, I immediately wanted to find fault with what she said. But like any really good husband, you realize, dude, she's right. You're wrong again. Own it. And that night, it really just became so in my face. And she was right. I had done all these different things, but I was unhealthy. I was stressed out. I was walking the hallways at night because I couldn't go to sleep. I mean, it was time for a change. And that was the catalyst for really helping me to make the shift and the change and ultimately to walk away from a 19-year career.
Wow, that takes a lot of courage. So did you quit right away? Was it a process? And also, how did you find your new passion or your deep down passion?
Well, now looking back, I probably would have done it in a different way, but I pretty much went in and told my partners, that's it, I'm done. I'm walking away. I'm putting in my resignation. I had a year that I had to stay on to finish my contract in essence. And I was out. So I pretty much took the leap and went from there. And music was not part of that vision, certainly not anything to do with any kind of sound healing or energy healing work. None of that was part of, quote, my greater vision. I kind of left to become a motivational speaker. I had always had this passion of kind of like becoming this, the next Tony Robbins type guy and becoming a very traditional motivational speaker, pontificating my words of wisdom and transforming people's lives because of that pontification. And so that's what I left. I left to start embarking upon that. But the universe has its own little ways of kind of gently nudging us and pushing us in directions that we probably would have never gone in if we hadn't taken that leap of faith and really started moving in some different directions.
Wow. So you really listened, starting with your wife and then the nudges from the universe. That's profound because lots and lots of people in today's society do not listen, right?
Well, I don't know if I listened. I probably fought it, and I did. I did fight it. I mean, from prior to this whole walking away experience, Lara was 8 months pregnant with our first daughter, and at 7 o'clock at night every night, Olivia would be in there doing her calisthenic routine. Mom's on the bed in discomfort, telling me nightly that she's not going to make it another 3 weeks of carrying this baby. And one night she asked me to place my hand on her tummy, and I did, and it was like instant peace and quiet. Well, after 4 nights in a row, same thing, hand on tummy, instant peace and quiet. She goes to me, you're a healer, don't you? And I said, you know what? Don't even talk to me about that healing mumbo jumbo, man. That's the kind of stuff they take you out in the backyard, they tie you to a tree, and they set you on fire, man. I don't want nothing to do with that. And then, of course, being married to a doctor of metaphysics, what does she tell you? I think you might have some past life issues to resolve. And I'm like going, if you ever want to make a corporate guy run down the hallway with his fingers in his ears going, la, 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 I can't hear you, you tell him he has past life issues. And so I would like to say I easily and effortlessly stepped into this, but no, I had to be nudged, I had to be pushed, and ultimately I had to let it go of a lot of old paradigms, old belief structures that weren't in alignment with what I was stepping into.
Wow, wow, wow. So now you realize that you're a healer.
Took a while, but yes.
And did you always play the guitar? And were you always into music and musical?
Been playing guitar since high school, not with any intention of becoming a rock and roll star or anything like that. It was just something I loved to do and something I did for me. It was like a hobby and a passion. I had a roommate that played bass. We jammed and it was just our thing. So it's something that's been there and has really helped me through many of the twists and the turns of my own life experience. So um, love music, and it was just something that I did for fun. It was a hobby. It was my own. I used to imagine having the best concerts in the world in my safety of my bedroom at home. It was just
Oh,
something I did for fun and fantasized and played and did my thing. I never thought it would kind of leak into my speaking, which is where it first started coming into, and then from there, um, having the scientists get a hold of the music and discovering what it does.
okay. So wow, I'm so excited to get to the juice of it. But so talk to us about the public speaking that you started with, how the music came into it, and then of course with the scientist.
So I left the corporate gig to become the speaker guy. So I hired a lady from Hollywood who was going to help me develop my platform. And back then I was like really into golf. And so I was doing golf and speaking presentations and, kind of using golf as a metaphor to convey higher level life principles. And so right around that time, after working with her, maybe a month, my CD was done and I sent it to her in the mail. And she calls me up. She goes, "What the heck is this?" I'm like, "Oh, it's my CD. I thought I would send it to you." She goes, "Well, you didn't tell me you played guitar." I said, "Well, no. What does that got to do with my speaking?" And she goes, "Everything. You're doing music and speaking talks." I said, "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are." "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are." And she was kind of forceful in her way. She didn't put up with my quote resistance. And so she goes, "We're going to do one talk and it's going to, called Play Beautiful Music Throughout Your Life. Let's do it. Let's put it on the site and just see what happens." Okay, she convinced me to do that. Well, nobody called about the golf thing. Nobody called about that. Everybody called about the music and speaking. And next thing I knew, I was out playing, music and speaking keynote concerts for professional associations and traveling around the country doing these talks with music and I kind of settled into it. It's easy for me to speak in front of 1,000 people, but put a guitar in my hands and I became this shy kid. So it was real. I had to process through and really move through a lot to step into sharing my music. And next thing I know, I'm playing, in front of 500 professional women bankers, playing music and sharing a message on how they could play more beautiful music throughout their lives.
That is so profound. What, as women are usually right, or maybe always right? Was Laura right when she said you had some past life blocks?
Yeah, absolutely. She's not listening right now. I hope so. Yes, she was right again.
I, you sound just like my husband. I'm like, come on, hon, your anxiety. Let's go to the hypnotherapist. I'm like, we can't live like this anymore. And in one session, bam.
Yeah.
So then tell us about the call that you received from the scientist.
Well, it's kind of funny how that happened because I definitely had this thing, a woo woo barrier, you know? It's like, okay, that's woo woo, that's out there. And, like I said, it's no mistake that I married Lara, who's into the woo woo, So she invited me she knew a person that said, hey, they're looking for music at this wellness center for an open house. Would you go play? I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll go play. And so I'm playing. And after I'm done with my set, the woman who runs the center comes up to me and she goes, oh my God. She goes, I hear these tones in your music. And I'm looking at her, I'm like going, oh man, she's going to get weird. I could just tell. And then she gets like right up in my face and she goes, and nobody can hear the tones but me. And I'm like looking at her like on, yeah, okay. Yeah, I heard some tones too back in the 80s, listening to Pink Floyd, hanging
With
out with my
bugs.
buddies. Yeah, watching the lava lamp and stuff. Yeah, we heard some tones. And she goes, no, I'm serious. She goes, give me a CD. I know these scientists. So I'm giving her a CD. Maybe she'll go away. Maybe she won't bother me anymore. And didn't think anything more of it. Next thing I know, I get a call from a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ronald Jones, who was a former top consultant to NASA, who invited me to this lecture on energy and quantum physics. I'd never heard of quantum physics. I'd never heard of energy really. And so I show up there. They told me to bring my guitar. Figured maybe I was going to play during donut time or something. I had no idea what I was stepping into. And that night, I kind of got my quantum physics 101. Never before that moment had I thought to look at myself as anything more than what I saw in the mirror, what I experienced through my senses. But that night, I realized, oh my gosh, there's so much more to us than what we see, hear, touch, feel, and smell. And halfway through the program, they start demonstrating on stage how things we use every day, like cell phones, like laptop computers or furniture polish, things like that, are compromising our energy and putting us into a weakened state. I'm like kind of going, what the heck? I've never seen this before. And then they go, Mark, come up here and start playing. And I come up and I start playing, and people's physical energy shifted instantly in front of my eyes. Where they're going weak, all of a sudden they're remaining strong. Where they couldn't, like lack of flexibility, touch the floor or their toes or anything, I'm playing and they're putting their hands on the ground. I'm like kind of going, what is this? Quite honestly, it's kind of freaking me out. I kind of went home, not really sure what I had experienced. And a week thereafter, Dr. Jones calls me up and said, hey, listen, we're so excited. We discovered frequencies in your music that actually tune and harmonize listeners' energy fields. He said, and better yet, it has the ability to tune and harmonize regardless of what the person's being exposed to, regardless of what kind of energy disruptors, such as chemicals or Wi-Fi or smart meters or all these different things that we're being exposed to in our modern day world. And I'm like going, well, Doc, I don't really understand what all this means. He says, well, what it means, we want to buy 1,000 CDs from you and start selling them. I'm like going, okay, that I can relate to. I'm not so sure about the other stuff, but that was the beginning. And out of that discovery emerged a sound healing technology that I've been using now to help people to heal their lives, awaken to who their magnificence and their unlimited potential, and actually enhance their ability to compose the life of their dreams and shape and shift their careers, their relationships, their lives into whatever way that they truly desire that's in alignment with their passion and their purpose and their dreams.
Wow. So now you see clients, what clients come to you for different reasons, obviously. Can you share with us some of those reasons and how you're able to help them?
Well, primarily they're coming because they're experiencing disharmony in their lives, whether it could be in their health, could be in their relationships, it could be a prosperity block, just not able to create success, not being able to create what they desire. The first person I did a session with was a young lady, came to me because It was classic, really. She goes, you know what? She goes, I'm so fed up, Mark. 20 years, I keep attracting the same kind of man in a different body, but not supportive of me, not very respectful. I want to end this. And so that's why she came to me. She was experiencing what I would call a reoccurring negative pattern in her life. And so we started diving in, and it was interesting because over the years in doing this session work, I could hear where people were out of tune. She said she wanted this relationship, but she was broadcasting resentment. And so I dug in. Okay, who's this against? Well, it ended up being against her father. And I asked her the question. I said, are you open to forgiving your dad? And she said, yes. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to channel you out a piece of music on forgiveness. Never played it before. Something came out. I recorded it. I sent it to her. She called me back 3 days later. She goes, Mark, you're not going to believe this. I said, what's up? My dad called me today out of the blue and said, 20 years, way too long to have unresolved issues. Are you open to sitting down and talking about reconciliation and forgiveness? And she goes, you don't understand. My dad's like macho man guy. He would never do that. You look up macho in the dictionary, it's got his picture, I swear. That's what she told me. And I say, the biggest thing that we need to learn in life is that the outer world is a mere reflection of what's going on within ourselves internally. You set the intention to forgive your father. You played this music in your environment, forgiveness music, on a daily basis. And lo and behold, what shows up? What pops into your experience? An opportunity to forgive what needs to be forgiven in order for you to open up to the possibility of creating the relationship that you desire. And, when that happened, I'm like going, okay, maybe I'm onto something here. So that just really sped it up. And I remember Dr. Jones has passed away now a number of years, but I got to see him shortly before he transitioned. And I kind of like whispered him like it was secret, like, Doc. He said, yeah. He said, I've been playing music to people to help them melt away limiting thoughts and beliefs. And he goes, and I said, and it's working. And he goes to me, took you that long to figure it out, huh? And I'm like, what, you like holding back secrets on me? He goes, just some things you need to figure out yourself.
Oh, wow.
And so it really launched me off down a path I certainly never saw coming, and continues to be a big part of the work that I'm doing today in session work, working to help people, in essence, kind of like tune the strings of their life expression. We all have facets. We have our relationships, we have our spirituality, we have our prosperity, our careers, our happiness, our joy, our fulfillment, and those are kind of like the strings. We take action through those facets, we produce results. That's the music. I don't care how masterfully you play the guitar, the game of life. If you're not in tune and in harmony, you're never going to reach your full potential. I could play the guitar like Andre Segovia, but would it matter if this instrument wasn't in tune? No. And unfortunately, we live in a world that's doing everything to put us out of tune. It's like we've got 80,000 man-made chemicals in our air, food, and water. We've got countless electronic waves from our cell phones, Wi-Fi, smart meters, 3G, 4G. Within the last year or so, 5G has come to fruition. So we've literally filled our environment with static and noise. And that's what the music helps to null and void all the negative influences that are in our space, but also to help to eliminate the most powerful energy disruptor of them all, our own limiting thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions that we hold in the conscious and the subconscious mind that shape and shift our experience.
Wow, how profound. And I love the example you used about forgiveness, because that's my journey with my father. We are going to take a brief break. And when we come back, we're going to discuss some other emotions that you help people release. And we're going to get to hear Mark playing on the guitar. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right.
In these shifting and changing times, more and more lives are being impacted by mental health. The Extraordinary Lives Foundation, also known as ELF, is transforming the way people view and navigate mental health challenges. Their mission is to improve children's mental health and wellness and support families by providing educational tools, resources, and awareness events. ELF encourages families to recognize symptoms, overcome the stigma, and reach out for help. Through prevention, early intervention, and holistic treatment, we believe many of the big problems facing today's youth can be transformed within a generation. Extraordinary Lives Foundation is excited to offer the Hugs for Life Healing Center, growing a worldwide network of approved holistic healers and bridging the gap between traditional and complementary healing options. Visit the Extraordinary Lives Foundation website at www.elfempowers.org to find out more about their resources and events. Together, we can change the conversation around mental health. We hope that you're enjoying today's Let's Talk Wellness podcast. And if you have a topic that you would like us to explore, we would love to hear from you. Simply email us at info@elfempowers.org. That's info@elfempowers.org. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Wellness. I am your host, Mara James, and today we have a renowned energy sound healer and thought leader, Mark Romeo.
Good to be here. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know that guy.
It's you. Mark, so I'd love to get back and to continue the conversation about emotions that we want to release and emotions that we want to bring in, how you help people do that with your work and with your music.
Well, when we tune and harmonize our energy, it makes it makes it very easy to like reach within yourself and let go of what's no longer serving you. It also makes it very easy to plant the seeds for how you want to be in your life. You know, we've all been taught in school that we create through doing. You know, you got to work hard. You got to, do, push, shove, all this stuff that we got to do. But in reality, I think we're really opening to a time where we're realizing that we create through our being. We're human beings. Your state of being creates your life and is much more powerful than doing ever can be. Now, in order to shift our state of being or to align our state of being, who and what we are, with creating a more successful, fulfilling, and expansive life, we have to learn how to master our emotional energy. If you look at any disharmony you're experiencing in your life right now that's showing up, whether it's in relationship, whether it's in your health, maybe it's in your body, if you tune into it and look at what's behind it, you're always going to find an emotion. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's frustration, maybe it's fear. And these are typically emotions that we do everything we can to not feel them. We've been taught and conditioned that those emotions are bad. And so we have a tendency to suppress them, either through like doing this on our smartphones all day long, or binge watching Netflix, eating lots of ice cream, or drinking beers or whatever. There's a whole potpourri of things that we can do to not feel those emotions. But when you're in that harmonized state, and I can get a client to release their fear, release their anger, release their sadness around a condition in their life, I am convinced that it actually is the process of letting go of lower density belief structures that are no longer serving us, that aren't in alignment with who and what we are. Life will always let us know when we're out of alignment. And it's up to us to really bring our attention to that. And rather than fight it, resist it, and curse it, it's like, okay, what are you trying to reveal about me? And feel into it and purposefully and intentionally release that energy and move it out. So it's almost like breathing out. This is like breathing. We breathe out what the body no longer needs, carbon dioxide. It's a poison. It doesn't support us in life. And then we breathe in what gives us life, what energizes us. We do the same thing with energy by feeling our sadness, our anger, our frustration, and moving that energy out intentionally once again. But then we can also breathe in joy, happiness, security, all these qualities that you can't go get at Walmart. You can't get them at Amazon. You can only generate them within yourself. And when we learn to generate them within ourselves, for no reason other than our own desire to be that way, oh, it opens up to a whole new way that we can shape and shift our lives. And I think it opens the door to mastery for all of us to really open up to healing our lives, but also awakening to our magnificence, our unlimited potential, and really enhancing our ability to manifest and create what it is that we truly want to create in our lives, but also how it is that we can recreate the world that we live in.
Amazing. So in the example you used before, when you were working with that client and you asked her if she was willing to forgive her father, I'm assuming the healing process starts with the client having the courage to move forward and releasing some negative emotions.
Absolutely. Kind of reminds me of one of my favorite emails. I got an email from a woman a number of years ago. She said, "Is there any way that you can make a song that'll make my husband a better man?" I mean, I love that email to this day. And I, of course, being a husband, I had to laugh and chuckle. I responded back and I said, I could play the most beautiful piece of music in the universe, but if your husband doesn't want to become a better man, it's not going to matter. We live in a free will universe. So when it comes to changing thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions and all the old stories, the client has to be on board and have the willingness to set the intention to do so and the commitment to step in and to follow through and doing what needs to be done in order to shift that part of their lives.
Wow. So in that scenario, where she was asking about her husband, would you then work with her and see how you could, have her not need him to change and how she could change herself, which will in effect, affect him?
Well, I would recommend that she play music in the space, but not to change his belief structures, just to tune and harmonize his energy. And out of that, realizations can come. Out of that, clarity might come that, imagine living in an environment that's filled with static and noise, or on your AM radio when you're getting far from the city, it's static and noise. You can't hear the programming or the message or the music that's coming through the radio station. Well, what if you could clear that static and noise? All of a sudden you start getting some different insights. So what's happened with like environmental music that I produce, it's like people all of a sudden come to this realization, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't eat fast food anymore. Maybe I should start eating healthier quality food and drinking better quality water. And they have these realizations. Or maybe things come to the surface. You know what? I need to do some work on what happened with my mom when I was growing up. And then that's when it like opens the door to doing the deeper work, which is where we start really addressing the most powerful energy disruptor of them all, those old thoughts, those old beliefs, those old perceptions that all of us hold to one degree or another within ourselves.
Wow. So do you have your guitar nearby?
Of course, it's like my friend, I keep it with me
Yay.
all the time.
So, so my question is, of course, I know for me particular, I know what I would ask you to play, but so I know that you'll play something for us. Will you play something and let us know what its goal is to harmonize, or will you just play something and we all get to see how we feel from listening to it?
So I asked the question then, what is it that you would want? You
Oh,
said
well,
you have an idea. I'm curious. You have to share now.
of course, of course. Well, for me in particular, the forgiveness one, absolutely. And I think that we all have people in our life that, it's important to start having a little compassion and moving towards forgiveness with. So I think that was a general one. But then again, I feel like so many people are experiencing fear and anxiety these days that would be good. So I'm going to let you choose. And before you do that, though, I know at the end you'll share your contact information, but is there a way that if people want to purchase your music, if for a particular emotion that they want to bring in or they want to release, that they could access?
Yeah, absolutely. I offer it through my website, and basically I have playlists for every facet of your life. So let's
Uh,
say if you're experiencing challenges in your health, Well, you want to work with the health playlist. If you're experiencing challenges in your relationship, you want to work with the relationship playlist. These are kind of like, if I bring the guitar in, they're kind of like the strings. When the string's out of tune, you're experiencing a challenge in that facet of your life. And that's a notification from life, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, saying, you need to do some work there.
Yeah.
You know, so then you take action accordingly. And then that opens up the possibility of playing more beautiful music. And it is our music, our resonance, that's what creates our experience. There was a
Wow.
great analogy I saw. Like, how many of you have waken up in the morning and you go walk in the bathroom, you look in the mirror and you go, oh man, my hair's all over this way and that way. It's all kitty wampus. And what do? You want to change the reflection. So you take the brush, and how we've been conditioned in life is to brush the mirror, expecting the reflection to change. But it doesn't work that way. You have to bring the brush to your head. You have to work within your own self. You change your energy. You transform your life. You harmonize your life. You transform what it is that you can experience in any facet. And you open up the door to transcending any challenge that comes up, any disharmony you might experience. You have the ability to shift that energy around it and actually use it as something, as a tool to lift yourself to new heights, which typically isn't how most of us respond to our challenges in life. But yet, that's really what they're there for. And if we can come from that space and that mind space about them, we can really open up the door to creating some amazing shifts and healing in any facet of our lives.
Wow. And so when people are feeling sad or depressed, people a lot of times listen to music and it talks to them, but I don't think that they realize that the energetic effect that has on them could be profound.
Well, and it's interesting you mentioned depressed, because what I've noticed over the years is depression shows up when you don't allow yourself to express sadness, anger, frustration, fear, whatever it might be. Same with thing with anxiety. And if you think about it, everything vibrates. We live in an energetic universe. So everything's energy and vibrating. It has a peak, it has a valley. So you're up here, your emotions are bliss, ecstasy, all the yummy stuff in life. Down here, which we all go to one degree or another as we go through life, is sadness, anger, frustration, fear, especially lately. There's a tremendous amount of this, but we want to move through the energy. When we create resistance, we get stuck down here, and we create like a loop in a way where we get stuck in depression and we experience anxiety. Or sleep issues or things to that effect. I can guarantee that if you're experiencing those things, there's emotions in there that you need to move through and process through, that you're holding deep within yourself. And I just encourage anybody, myself included, when these things show up for me, to feel what's there, to process that energy, to quit resisting it and utilizing it as a way to continue your own evolution and unfolding.
And I had so many clients, my husband has so many patients as an OBGYN, right? That women and men too, that can't sleep at night, or they have a problem falling asleep, or they fall asleep and they can't wake up. So I'm assuming you have music for that too?
I have sleep music, and
Oh,
it's actually music
wow.
you play throughout the night. Not only that, think about the environment too. We all have Wi-Fi in our house, which is a disruptive frequency. We have smart meters on the side of our house, which is a disruptive frequency. And if you don't have Wi-Fi, well, I can guarantee your neighbors do. And all that's coming through your environment at night when you're at sleep. When you're asleep, you want to have deep quality sleep. And that's before we get into what's happening between the ears. When we get into the challenges of life, the emotional things that we all experience to one degree or another, we really need to learn how to process through that energy so that we can deepen our quality of sleep, because it's so important. That's when we rebuild the machine. That's when we rebuild this. We're kind of like these super biological wireless computers, and we put the computer into sleep mode. Well, it's still operating on a subconscious level, doing deep work, rebuilding the physical aspect of ourselves so we can wake up in the morning feeling energized and enthusiastic about the day. So important to have a good quality sleep. So yeah, sleep was one of the one of the first things that I even discovered about my own music, my youngest daughter was sleeping through the night after, I think, a week or 10 days being born with music playing in her space. So, it's like, what newborn parent wouldn't want to have that, right?
Okay, great idea. We're gonna have a piggy bear for newborns with your music inside. Okay, so we are ready and I'm excited to hear what you're going to play for us.
Okay, so what I'm getting, I love what you said about forgiveness, which is good. But there's something that happens before we can forgive, before we can revitalize our health, before we can open to more prosperity. And that is to step into our ability to set an intention, to put a command forward, to open up to our power and our ability. It's like the first step I take everybody through. It's like you have to be open to changing and transforming. You want to heal your life, you have to be open to healing it. You want to open to more prosperity and abundance, you have to be open to doing so. And so, how about a little musical mantra for opening to help us to open up and to build some momentum as we move forward from this call and as we continue on the twists and turns of our human experience. How does that sound?
Sounds beautiful.
Well, I invite everybody to just take some nice deep breaths. If you're able to, close your eyes, sit back, breathe deeply. If you're driving, don't close your eyes, but breathe deeply. And just breathe. Something so simple, but yet can be so difficult for us. Just take another deep breath. And as you continue to breathe, ask yourself, what am I willing to open up to right here, right now? Another level of awareness. Another level of healing. Another level of my own power. Take another deep inhale. And breathe in these notes. Take another deep breath. There's so much power within you. Just be willing to open up to that. And begin to start consciously composing the life of your dreams. So just take another deep inhale, open mouth, let it go, and gently begin to start bringing yourself back to this time, back to this space, back to this moment. So there we go. Little
Wow.
musical process for opening.
It's so
Yeah.
beautiful. And I had a vision of you on stage with Lady Gaga. How powerful and magical to get this out to everybody, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And she could sing
So,
while I'm doing that too. I think
oh
that,
wow. So it could just be the background music.
yeah, a nice foundation. I mean, I love her voice. So, I mean, I can't sing like that. If I could, I would while
Yes,
playing.
we each have our gifts. I'll
That's
help
right. That's
organize the
right.
event and you guys could perform.
I
Wow.
just leave my singing to the shower and that's about it.
And even then, wow, Mark, that's so beautiful. I'm just in another zone. So, can you tell our friends out there what's the best way if they want to get in touch with you?
Well, always invite people to come to the website at Mark with a K, Romero, Romero, music.com, markromeromusic.com. You can find me on all the social media platforms at Mark Romero Music. Invite you to come to the website. I have a beautiful track of music entitled The Journey that you can get from the website. It's a free gift. It's a great way to start diving in and experiencing how high vibration harmonizing music can help you and support you on your journey as we all move forward in awakening and remembering our magnificence and our ability to heal our lives, but also really to step into consciously transforming the world we live in. So there you go.
Amen. Thank you so much, Mark, and to our listeners out there. Don't ever forget, you are amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Let's Talk Wellness. This podcast has been brought to you by the Hugs for Life Healing Center, a division of the Extraordinary Lives Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. If you would like to listen to more conversations like this, we invite you to subscribe to our mailing list at www.elfempowers.org to be notified when our weekly episodes are published. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to bringing you our next conversation on Let's Talk Wellness.